Hello and welcome to Component Carousel, the show where we have fantastic creative developers on to make a fun component with us, and we build it all around a theme. This month's theme, of course, is Kaiju Demolition Services. So you can hire or I guess rent Godzilla or King Kong, or I think last week we had Gigan, and they can destroy whatever you want. It can be a city, it can be that old shed in the back of your house, whatever. We're building a site so that you can hire those creatures. And so we had Bruno Simone on for the first week. He created a 3D environment where Godzilla rampages through and wipes out some buildings in a generative city. Really cool. Some 3JS magic there. Last week we had Zach Saucier on to make a canvas-based pixel particle, or no, sorry, a canvas-based particle destruction component. Really cool. Where a laser was shot all on canvas. I learned a whole bunch from that. And this week, the third week, we have on Tom Miller. I'm going to bring him in right now. And Tom, how's it
Hello.
going?
It's going great.
Oh,
Thank you
I'm
for having me on.
so glad to have you here. Yeah, it's a real honor. I've loved your stuff for a while. I'm going to show it off in a minute, but what exactly are we going to be working on today for this Kaiju Demolition Services site?
We are trying to plus up what otherwise could be just a really boring bullet-pointed list
Nice.
on a demolition company's website.
Perfect. So we're turning like the bulleted list of what exactly? Because I don't want to give away anything that you don't want to give away.
No, that's fine. So the specialties that this hypothetical company could help you destroy could be a single family home or radio tower or much more. And so I mean, you see that on a lot of websites. It's kind of a really dry list of what to do, and so
right.
Using that as sort of just the fodder for teaching a bunch of different animation techniques. I think that's what we're going to hopefully go through today.
Awesome. Yeah. So I want to show off some of your stuff. You work kind of as, and we got some fantastic people in the chat. Amit, Aaron, Steph, thank you for coming through. Could someone post, I'll explain in a second, but I didn't have a chance to post it to the Discord. So if, do you mind just tagging the Discord and saying, hey, we are here? I would really appreciate that. So yeah, fantastic people in the chat. And Tom, I want to show off your stuff. I want to show off what I know you for, so that other people can kind of see like, oh, we're in for some good stuff today. So you operate kind of under this alias or under your company, Creative Ocean.
Yep.
Is that right?
That's right. Yeah. Creative Ocean. I think I've never had a really good explanation for why I called the company Creative Ocean. It was just, you were kind of playing with different available URLs, and I hit on that. I'm originally from Florida, and so I don't know, kind of being seaside, ocean, I don't know, something. Doesn't really matter. Eventually, it just the name stuck for long enough that you can't get away from it.
Yeah, no, but so we're working in scroll animations today, and I'm so happy to have you on to do that, because just as you start to scroll on the site, your logo and the parallax effect of this is just so satisfying.
Sure.
It's
There's
so
also
smooth.
some parallax in the scene with your mouse position too.
Yeah. I'm not. Oh, because it wasn't active. I was wondering why it wasn't doing that. But yeah, and as long as the browser's active, then it'll work. That makes sense. But yeah,
right.
Like the fog in the front is just so cool, Tom. I love it. And then you scroll, it like zooms in, fades out, and then all of these kind of slide up. It's just a really slick site. You released this just a few months ago, right?
Yeah, towards the beginning of the year.
Nice. Yeah, I remember seeing it for the first time. Just yeah, but it's so nice. So yeah, you've worked for a lot of great companies. You just make really great stuff. I know you primarily through your CodePens. This one is a personal favorite, where as you go back and forth, you get this like shine, and it's got this like nice clear texture, and it blurs out the background. I really enjoy this one, and I know I've spoken to you about it a whole bunch. Welcome, Killian and Kanai. Thank you for coming through, dropping that in the chat. Yeah, this one's so slick. So just as like a quick description, what's going on here? How are you pulling this one off?
There's a handful of SVG elements, and the mask here is actually what's doing the blurring. It's not a blur filter because that's not terribly performant. And so it is just like a screen grab of the stuff that I've then blurred in Photoshop, and then you can compress a JPEG pretty teeny.
So what we're seeing behind the card is not
is a JPEG.
It's a different JPEG from the one in the background, or it's
right.
Not, it's not the same crisp shapes that we're blurring. It's like kind of a window to a different thing entirely.
Yep, exactly.
Cool.
So yeah, everything in here is SVG, and the only bitmap elements are sort of like this repeating tile that helps give a little bit of kind of grain or texture to the card surface. But what you're seeing in the background, that blur, is actually just a masked image.
It's really clever, and yeah, you can't tell.
And it also moves, relative to mouse
right.
position, so that it continues to align.
Slick and performant. And then you got this scroll trigger one, which is not what we're working on today, right? It's a different scroll animation thing, but just really nice masking there. Like that's
yep.
So
I mean,
slick.
Alpha masks in SVG are kind of magic.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic, and this reminds me a lot of the just like that misty effect that you've got on your homepage. Really, really great stuff. So we've got that set up, and I think we can kind of move to, if you're up for it, setting up the CodePen and kind of going through that. But first, I want to explain briefly, if you don't mind, what's going on here. Because if you've ever been in the show before, this isn't the setup, this isn't the background, and also what's up with the UI here. Oh, let me hide that logo up there. That Component Carousel logo is not good. Hi, I am on vacation. Kind of. I'm in Florida. I'm working at my parents' house here, staying down here, but I did want to skip out on Component Carousel. I couldn't take off some Wednesdays and do that to myself and to everyone, right? We would miss out on a couple of weeks of good stuff. So I have a very, very funny setup down here. And so for the next 2 weeks, you will see me with this backdrop, or maybe something better if I can figure it out. But and we're using StreamYard as our thing. So we unfortunately don't have the Yay and all the other fun stuff that we've like built into our OBS setup. But this is pretty nice. And see, I can do this, and I can say, "You're right, Anthony," and I can show everyone the comments that I like, the comments that I agree with. So StreamYard's got some cool features, but limited in what you can do, right? So anyway, that explains that part. Just wanted to get that out of the way so people weren't asking the entire time. And yes, we definitely have gators here. Right, Tom? Is that safe to say that in Jacksonville there are gators?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's actually tomorrow's guest.
All over Florida.
Stick around for that. Make sure you hit the follow button, and you'll be the first to know when I interview a gator tomorrow. So be a good time. So we've got this. I've got a pen set up with the HTML and the CSS that you sent me over. Do you want to talk through this?
Sure. So cool. Maybe go ahead and just isolate the HTML.
Cool.
So we have a whole bunch of DOM elements. The first one at the very top is got an idea of scroll disk. We're going to make that be the full width that we want to scroll. So we could change it to be, 200% of the viewport width, 900% of the viewport width, just to make the scroll take longer.
And we are scrolling horizontally on this. It's not going to be a vertical scroll thing. It's going to be
right. But if you wanted it to be vertical, the difference is like one line of code, or cool. I mean, giving it more height than the viewport height, and then not setting it to a horizontal scroll and scroll trigger.
Awesome.
Container is a huge div. I think we're going to set it to like 4,100 pixels wide by 3,000 pixels tall.
Okay.
The whole idea is to give ourselves a stage that is so big that it doesn't matter. Most viewports are, it's going to exceed it in all directions. And then a little further into the tutorial, we'll use the onTick function to sort of chase the point of interest by moving container around.
Got it. Okay, cool. So and we are doing a character animation, as it should. Hopefully, It says below, right? I think it should say. Let's animate a character. I'm not totally sure. Actually, I should look at the Twitch thing to make sure that this is coming out the way that I'm expecting. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. All right, cool. We're in good shape. All right. Yeah. So we're doing a character animation. So as you said, we need to follow that character because they're going to be walking, right?
That's right. So
cool.
We'll think about an animation along a path, but then because it's a huge scene that he's going to be walking along, we're going to, move along with him.
Nice.
To see the tour.
Cool.
We got a handful of images that.
With a hint here. Nice
hint. With something that if we have enough time, we'll do a little Easter egg edition at the end of it.
Nice.
Then we got a few divs that will be absolutely positioned in the scene.
Cool.
Over the top of their illustrations. And then we have this chunk of SVG that has it's 100% height and width, so it's going to fill that whole container div. And then we've got a clip path, which is just going to carve out the shape or the bounding box, basically, of Godzilla, our character.
Got it.
And so then that'll hide all of parts that we don't want to see of the image sequence.
All the parts
we also have.
Got it.
Yep. We also have a walking path that was drawn in Illustrator. And in case I forget to mention it later, the path was created in Illustrator. You just drop the background scene that you want him to walk along, and then draw your path with the pen tool.
Okay.
And so that's how we export that, the D attribute.
Right.
Because I can't imagine that's human legible for anybody.
No. Yeah. Right. So just so I make sure I'm understanding right, you brought the background, and we can actually take a look at that if that doesn't blow any.
Yeah, please. I think that's a good thing to take a peek at, because it
here's
gives us a little more concrete
background
idea.
And we're going to be zoomed in for the thing, and as the character walks, we're going to kind of follow them.
Yep. We'll move our X and Y position to match, to actually be the inverse of the current X and Y position, so that.
Got it.
And then we'll have a little a delay to it, so that the character is independent of the sort of camera.
So it's not like completely fixed, and it feels a bit more natural.
Right.
Is that cool?
So it feels like you're controlling Godzilla and you're controlling the camera that can find where Godzilla go.
Got it. And so you brought this in Illustrator, and you pretty much traced along this line so that they would walk. Cool. Got it.
Yeah, and you didn't need to have a whole lot of precision to create the path. Like, it could be,
right,
only
because you kind of walk
7 or 8 actual points in the Bezier.
Awesome. Cool.
So
that's the path.
Let's see. So then we have a group that we're calling Kaiju. We're going to twist along the path. Then we've got a group inside of that, which is just giving us something that we can cut out. And then inside of that is the image that we're going to tick through repeatedly. And it might be worth opening that href.
Walk.png. The mouth or the breakable?
Walk.png. There you go.
Cool. Got it. Yeah, this is pretty cool.
So I found just a GIF online of Godzilla walking. I struggled so hard to come up with good design assets for this, because I originally wanted to do kind of like a map or maybe like
Right.
sort of like an isometric view of a character moving around, and it became impossible to find the right assets or
Yeah, it's
too
tough.
time consuming to make them.
Yeah.
So I drew a scene that matched the best Godzilla loop that I could find.
Cool.
And credit where it's due. There should be a link to the original artist right there at the bottom.
Yeah, you've got
Row
it.
flow.
There you go. Cool. So that comes from here, everybody who wants to see. And this will be in the final CodePen as well. So if you want to check that out later, that's not going to be lost to the sands of time or anything. Cool. All right. So yeah, so that's a good kind of layout of this. And then here's that intro, right? Here's what we're seeing here.
I think there's one last thing to point out that if we have enough time, we're going to kind of give it sort of a vintage film look,
right?
Kind of 1950s era Godzilla.
Perfect.
And right now you're seeing the radio gradient there in the preview,
right?
Or the results pane. But we'll also add some kind of random dust and scratches in a loop at the very end.
Awesome.
Pop into the CSS. We'll just take 2 seconds to scroll through it real fast.
No sweat.
I found a nice kind of Japanese-looking font.
Cool.
Actually, I think it does support Japanese characters too.
Awesome.
But I didn't know any Japanese, so we're hiding the overflow Y so we don't accidentally end up with a vertical scroll bar.
Okay, got it. That makes sense. Yep.
And so if this ended up in sort of not the full HTML body, that would be appropriate to put on the container div.
Right. That makes sense.
Throughout the whole thing, nothing is positioned relative. Everything is either fixed or absolute.
Got it. Okay. Left to top. Yeah, makes sense. So
then
we're setting that here. Got it. So every div, every SVG, and every image, which is pretty much everything in this, has an absolute position. Cool.
That should be. And then that's it. The rest of it's just.
And then this is because we have the dust over top, and we don't want that to block our mouse clicks.
Same thing for the SVG. So I tried really hard to avoid any Z-index definitions. I think it's just so much easier to like layer your DOM elements how you want them to stack, and then as a last resort do the Z-index stuff.
Cool. All right.
But that should, everything else is just real simple styling and positioning.
Cool. And then that leaves our JavaScript wide open. So let's get into that.
All right.
Awesome. Aaron, just real quick, Aaron just linked to a cool glitchthegame.com where there's a bunch of walking, jumping, and emoting sprites to play with. So that's a cool resource. Thanks for sharing that, Aaron.
I will check that out after this.
Perfect. Always good to have that kind of thing up your sleeve. Perfect. So where do we want to start?
Do we want to talk about asset prep for a second?
Yeah, that sounds great. Yes. So you did make up a bulleted list, as people who have been here before know that we should have a today's steps thing. Once again, we don't have that here, so I don't have that to like refer to on screen. But yes, Tom, what can you tell me about asset prep here?
So as much work as we're doing in the JavaScript, there's basically as much work in the asset prep.
Got it.
I mean, normally I have the good fortune of having a designer just hand over everything that's ready to go. But I mean, within reason. But the little bit we were talking about in Illustrator, was sort of kind of a first look into the asset prep process. So you have to create your path, which we've already got now. And actually I deliberately offset them a few hundred pixels from the top and 100 pixels off the left so that nothing gets cropped. Nothing hangs outside of the container. So you may see when we cut and paste some of the initial states, there's like a left and top that pushes the artwork into the scene so that nothing gets positioned off.
It's kind of like giving it a little bit of padding, but like manually, right?
Right.
Cool.
Yeah. I mean, you probably could have done something to have that be part of the logic, but
yeah, no, that's
it's
great.
just as easy to do it entirely manually.
Cool.
Well, should we start with you want to start with like the let variable?
Sure. Yeah, we can set that up.
I did my actual completed one. I put it in an onload. Technically, we shouldn't have to do that so you could wrap all of this in an onload function, just in case
so
there's
window.onload or
yep,
is that
window.onload, and then I like to use arrow functions.
Cool. So just wrap it all in there.
I've always done window.onload equals.
Okay.
Looks like that'll work too.
I think you are probably right. I don't do this too often, so following your lead on that.
Okay. So we'll give ourselves two let variables. Let POV moving, camel case, and
cool.
You don't have to define that with anything, but it's going to be true whenever our point of view is moving around. And then if you want to give yourself another variable called walk dir. Cool.
Do you like to do the comma, or do you want to do let?
Yeah, I like the comma.
Cool. Sounds good. Just want to stick with your preference, so it matches. Not identically, but as close to the end result that you have as we can. So let POV moving. Cool.
Walk dir equals 1. So this will be our flag for which direction we're going, left or right.
Got it.
If you were scrolling vertically, down is the page is 1, and then back up the page is -1. And
cool.
That's actually how GreenSock scroll trigger references the direction.
Right, that's built into that. Awesome. So it's helpful for us to stick with that then. So once again, is 1 going down the page and -1 is coming up? So
that's right. And
for
right or versus left, right word will be 1, and -1 will be going back left.
Awesome. Cool. Real quick, fun fact in the chat that glitch became Slack. So glitch the game. Yeah, I now that you mentioned that, Killian, I remember coming across that a while ago when I was making a game, like a JavaScript game, and then like dug into it and found, this game actually is what spawned Slack. It's pretty cool. And Christopher is here. Christopher, great to see you. Thanks for coming through. A little hi emote. I like that shows up here. Keep the horse emotes coming, people. Love it. It's great to see you. Cool. So sorry, I just gotta say hi to people.
Yeah, you gotta
be in here. Got such a great chat. So
all right, walking dir or walk dir should be equal to 1.
Okay, so
our starting.
Can you just should
equals
do
1
here?
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, no,
really?
You had it.
Just do it in here. Cool. All right, cool.
All right, and then jump down and let's start a GSAP timeline. So I love GSAP timelines for setting values as much as, or not as much, but they're just a really good shorthand. Oh yeah, we got to throw in some.
Yep, I'm gonna add GSAP. So I copied over your HTML and CSS, but I did not copy over any of the JavaScript, and that's on me.
Right. So we need 3 things: GSAP, which you just got, scroll trigger plugin, and then motion path plugin.
Motion path. So for everyone, motion path plugin. Cool. For everyone here, what we just did is we're pretty much importing what we need for JavaScript. We are importing our main GSAP, but then also you pull in scroll trigger and motion path plugin on their own. Is motion path plugin part of the shockingly green package? Are you?
That one might be a premium. But
that one might
the good thing on CodePen, you can play with all of the premium ones for free.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So it's perfect. Turn that off. Cool. Great. So we now have that. And so just to check, we're doing everything inside the onload, right?
That's right. The onload is just a wrapper to make sure that
it's not trying to reference something that hasn't loaded in yet.
It should not be necessary. I think
it's all good.
In CodePen, it doesn't execute the JavaScript in that pane until the window's loaded.
Cool. That's handy.
But I've had a few instances where that wasn't the case. So
Good. Cool.
just in case.
Good practice.
All right, GSAP.timeline is a method of GSAP. So hit parentheses there.
Yeah. So
you would just leave that empty.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, you got it. This is going to be setting our initial states. So we're creating a timeline where we can just sort of declaratively set all the way down.
Got it.
And so a good portion of this could be done in the CSS. I find that some things are easier or maybe simpler to try and just pick one spot to put them. And so if I'm declaring a whole bunch of stuff that would be really hard or not cross-browser supported, because that's under the hood, GreenSock is doing a bunch of the browser support.
Awesome.
Hey, there you go.
We have Jack here to answer the questions
Jack's here.
officially. Jack, thank you for being here. And Much Best plugin is in the public package. And by the way, I'm not just saying this because Jack's here, but like shockingly green is a great deal, especially if you're doing this stuff for websites or whatever. Like, it's fantastic. But definitely play around with it on CodePen. We really appreciate that all this stuff is free to play with on CodePen. It's a blast. Thanks for being here, Jack. Cool. So.
I echo that. Thank you, Jack.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Jack, for being here, and thank you, Jack, for writing GreenSock.
Yeah, thank you for GreenSock. We appreciate it. So,
the big thank you.
Yes.
Okay, so we're gonna do jump down a line and start with our first set. So cool. Dot set. All of this can be chained together. So just as long as you don't put a semicolon at the end, you're just gonna do one line after another.
Cool. Yeah, I was expecting you to do like const equals or const TL equals like that sort of thing, but I like this. You can do it either way. It's pretty flexible.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yep.
But if you don't have any reason to reference it again in the future,
later. This makes sense.
So,
cool.
Before your object, you're going to define your target, and so the first thing we're going to do is give scroll distance some height and width.
Cool. So is that?
Yep, you got it. And that was an ID. So start with the pound, the typical. Scroll. I'm still stuck on camel cases.
That's fine. No,
I should change my my ways.
My guessing there was not a judgment in the slightest.
So. But I am definitely on the minority these days.
All good.
So okay, you're going to have an object that'll give it a width of this will be in string value 750%.
Cool.
And then a height of 100%.
Cool.
There you go. All right, that's it. That's all we're giving to scroll disk. So that's doing that should give us a horizontal scroll.
Yeah, we've got a scroll bar at the bottom. I'm not sure. I think the chat can see that. This is incredible. So we're done, right? This is it.
Yep.
There's all my personal stuff. Cool. Thanks, Mac. Great. Anyway, now to cleanse the palette and distract everyone from what they just saw, I'm just gonna shout out Tom. So yes, make sure that before we hang up, we check out the GreenSock site. I'm gonna pull it up so I don't forget. If I can type.
We can take a little tangent.
Yeah. Let's come back to it. But yes, Tom did all the animation.
One of my most proud projects. I couldn't have been more honored and thrilled to be involved in doing some animations for the homepage.
For the homepage, it's so cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I still think it's cool.
Oh no, it's super cool. Yeah, it's cool.
All right. So the next line is going to be giving the container some values. And like I said, so yeah, I like to give it a hard return. There's no reason to make
I'm just so used to as soon as I hit save, like if we were to undo that, as soon as I hit save, it's just gonna do that. I just get sloppy with it. Like I just kind of go like I know Prettier is gonna come through and move everything in a second, so I don't even bother. But anyway. Cool. Set container.
So then we're gonna do an object where we declare it as fixed. Fixed should be a string position.
Cool. So fix. Oh,
position colon the string fixed. Yeah, you got it. Width is going to be 4100. You don't have to put that in. Yeah, there you go. Just a number value. Height of 3000.
Height of 3000.
And so those are sort of arbitrary. They just need to be big enough to encompass everything that we want to look at, everything we want to move around.
Okay.
So, I mean, you could do 8,000 and 8,000, but you just don't want it to be too small.
Okay. I think we'll see what you mean a bit later once we see everything in its place. Because right now it's hard for me to reason about like what the container's doing or whatever. So we can come back to this one.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, that payoff is a little ways down because we have to do a fair amount of. Before we leave the object for container, we're going to set that one to the transform origin of that to be top left corner. So transform, yep, you got it. Origin is the string 00.
Ah, okay.
Oh, I wonder if top left that might work. But let's do just 00.
That's usually how I do it. So
well, you can save yourself 5 or 6 characters if you do 00.
I'm all about being verbose, man. I mean, if I wasn't so verbose, this would be a 20-minute show. So I'm trying to really stretch things out, pad it out.
Cool. All right, we'll proceed, and then we're going to give it a left and a top value that's half the window width and half the window height. So you're setting top window dot inner height divided by 2. And then I found that, actually, go ahead and do your left one if you want.
Cool. So this
I found
does what for us?
This will push the very top left corner to the very middle of the viewport when everything's all rigged up.
Okay.
And so it'll just make our sort of tracking of Godzilla a little easier. But I found that we kind of want to see Godzilla pushed a little further down in the frame. So if you want to just add 100 at the very back of the top definition, so it would be top colon window height divided by 2 plus 100.
Cool.
That way Godzilla is more centered and the path that he's walking on is pushed down a little bit.
Awesome. El Sexo, welcome. Good to see you. Cool. All right. Got that set.
The next declaration, the next set is going to be positioning our sequence. So that's a class of seq. So the string .seq.
Gotcha. Sequence.
Like short for sequence.
Got it.
I should be more verbose. It would be so much easier.
It's a class?
It's a class. Yeah, you got it. I wish I had been a little bit more careful about choosing my classes versus IDs, but
all good.
Is what it is.
Go back and change it at the end or whatever. All good.
X is 35. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the wrong spot. Go back up. This is actually just adjusting where the X% and Y% of the sequence should be.
Okay.
Because we want Godzilla's feet to hit the path. Right. I know we're gonna do a fair amount of like declarative stuff without seeing any result, which I wouldn't really do if I was normally writing this.
Okay.
But just need to sub in all of the initial states.
Got it.
And if you think we're at all running tight on time, I can cut and paste some of the boring stuff in there too.
I think we're doing all right. We're almost halfway through.
Okay.
Yeah,
and we're on line 11 of 100 and 211.
Yeah, that's less than half. So yeah, we can start to. I mean, I'm no math genius, I'm no Nikola Einstein or whatever, but yeah, I think that's less than half. So we might want to start pasting.
I know that's sort of against the
If you
rules on
want.
the show, but there's so much just positioning stuff coming up that we might as well go ahead and fast forward that.
All good, and then we can review it. That's totally fine. All good, right, chat?
Okay, so
we're not going to kick Tom off the show, right? We're going to keep rolling with this. I listened to the chat entirely, Tom. So whatever they say.
Do you have a gong?
I might.
Gong dog?
Honestly, I've got so many things around me. As I said, I'm at my mother's house here in Florida. I've got this little thing. It's gonna be a lot of prop comedy if I have to kill any time. Yeah. So got lots of stuff here. Cool. Do we? Okay. Christopher says that we won't kick you off this time, but next time it's up in the air.
Next time, keep it tighter.
Yeah. No, it's all good, man.
So I'm just gonna let's finish that set that you were doing on Seek,
cool.
And then I'm gonna cut and paste a whole bunch of X, Y, or top left values into the chat that you can cut and paste. So that one's going to be X%, capital P.
X%.
Yep.
That cool.
-25.
-25.
75.
Wait, what?
What we're doing is we're offsetting the Godzilla character, kind of repositioning him where he gets positioned, and so 75 back gets him pretty much centered up.
Cool. Just making sure I heard you wrong, and then okay, all set. Cool.
And then Y% -11.
Awesome. All right.
All right. So then I'm going to start dumping you a handful of.
Cool. And where you all right, you got it right there. Nice. All right. So we're using the StreamYard thing, and it's doing a good job. It did not. See, whenever you copy and paste stuff through something that's not designed for code. Oh, but you are. Yep. Oh no. Oh yeah. It'll sometimes just like ruin the quotes and then make the code. We've all been there. You know what I mean, chat. All right. So
hey, when you save it, I think pretty is going to make your single quotes double. It
sure did, Tom. It sure did. And they're not like the fancy quotes. They're just the straight one. What's the term for that, chat? This smart quotes, or is it smart quotes? Chat.
Are you talking about like the more designer-y one?
Curl and throw bugs in your code. Yeah. I think those are smart quotes. I'm not positive.
It's a nit of mine that Prettier gets rid of single quotes.
Well, you can set it, but I mean, like it's just the thing of like, Prettier's great because it was like everyone was battling over the way that they did their code, and everyone had their own little rule set, and it's just nice to just be like, let's just settle it. Let's just pick this one. Let's just roll with it. You can bike shit about other things. Cool. So we've got mouth. We're just setting a position here, right? Because that's an absolutely position thing. Oh wait, yeah. X and Y. Oh, okay, so this moves it from where it is currently. So it's moving to the right 35 pixels, and it's moving up 240 pixels. Am I right there?
That's right.
Cool.
Yep.
And then background. Cool.
The background. I think I was saying that earlier, that we needed to be off the side of container so that we didn't get cut off. And so we're pushed down a whole bunch because we're climbing up a mountain at the end of this, and we're off the left so that we don't get caught there.
Awesome. And then you want to walk through that bit?
I was going to say hit save, and let's see if it fixes it all the pretty. There we go.
All the pretty. Oh, got it. So it's just a lot of. Okay, yeah. I'm very glad we pasted this, because this is not. Yeah, this is good to paste. This part though, if you could talk about this.
Yeah. Breakable is going to be the flag for whether or not you can break the object, and so it's a little kind of fun interaction that if you click on some of the things that are illustrated in this scene, you'll be able to smash them.
Awesome.
And so that putting it at X percent -50 and Y percent -100 makes the point at which you position. So tower, the ID tower on line 25 is of the class breakable. And so then you can just use the X and Y. It's basically the bottom middle of the piece of art. And so then that gives us an easier way to position all of the particles that will explode when you click it.
Yeah, we'll get to those. Awesome. Okay, so we're
draggable false is just so that you don't accidentally drag it with your pointer when you click on it.
Smart.
And then cursor pointer, just a little hint that will change it to the pointer.
That guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then a whole bunch of label and art positioning things in the scene.
Awesome. Cool. And that just positions things along that backdrop. Do we want to start showing these things? I know they're all like set to opacity 0, but would that help people kind of understand what's happening a bit more if we start showing them?
If you just drop that, you cut and paste my HTML, right?
Yes.
Okay. So that we don't get a flash of stuff that's being styled or having initial settings.
Got it.
That last line in this timeline is now giving a two tween that'll fade in the opacity.
To figure out what am I showing?
No, you're not doing anything wrong. That's exactly what it should look like.
Yeah, no. I keep showing accidentally like all of my
calendar.
Yeah. My calendar and like messages. Let me just clear those out so that there we go. That seems to be most of my personal things gone. Cool. Yeah, just because like I'm swiping over and then it's like, you want to see all your stuff? And it's like, no, I don't. Please stop doing that. So we should be good now. Yeah. Not now. Not thanks. Cool. All right. So we are showing something, but it's not coming in. So we can just keep chugging.
Yep. So we have pushed container all the way to the center and down 100 pixels.
Got it.
And then you just resize the window so it's up on resize. Let's throw in a little window on resize there, Tom. Function.
Sorry, you cut out a bit there, and I think I mean a little bit of cutouts from time to time, but it's not too bad. I just couldn't get a phrase from you there. Can you say that again?
So let me know if I have to repeat anything.
Yeah.
I said your foot that you can see of Godzilla right there.
Oh, that's what that is. Okay.
What it is that's at the very top left corner. Let's see if I can get my hand in there. Of container.
Okay.
And it's positioned right in the middle, vertically and horizontally, plus that 100 pixels that we pushed it down. So we on resize also want it to maintain that left top.
Right.
Right in the middle. So we need a non-resize function.
Cool. Makes sense.
So hit enter a few times and give us a window.onResize.
Cool.
And then equals arrow function. And then if you just put a GSAP set in there, so it'll be GSAP.set, and then the target is container. Thank you. Yeah. And then the object is basically repeating what we did previously for the left and the top. So
got it.
You could cut and paste that maybe.
Cool. So
right there.
This
top left.
Right.
Perfect.
Yep. Perfect. Got it. So as the container resizes, it's just going to do this calculation again and continue to move it as we need.
There we go. See,
nice.
Pushing it right to the middle. Great.
Very cool.
All right. So we have a few places that were in the HTML identifying
You're cutting
where
out right
we
now,
would.
Tom. I think you said you got a few
put
places.
My hands in here.
It's funny.
In the HTML, I had a couple of just what do you call it? Comments.
Yeah.
Where we were going to put generated stuff.
Okay. Here's the clouds.
Yep. Let's do the clouds.
Okay.
So here's an array of arrays to add on the next line.
Cool. Okay, so in the
JavaScript.
Okay, I was gonna say, I was just making sure you weren't using like Pug or something, and I didn't get that bit.
No, no,
Cool.
no.
All
This
good.
is the only thing we're using is GreenSock.
Cool. All right.
Everything
So
else vanilla.
sounds good. Do you want it above the on
So
resize? I guess it doesn't
it
matter.
doesn't matter.
Cool.
Maybe below it so that you don't have to keep seeing on resize, and you can kind of keep scrolling to the
Sounds good. Makes sense.
the bottom where
New
we are.
stuff on the bottom. Cool. And these are just XY coordinates for
clouds.
For clouds.
So
cool.
If you picture that big hand drawn scene that you showed at the beginning of the not him, but the other one.
One more. Yeah.
That one.
So you got clouds up here.
I just took this into Photoshop and positioned my cursor to figure out what the X and Y coords should be for good cloud positions.
Cool. Nice. A little bit of art direction there.
Yeah. And then stuff those into arrays in the clouds pause array.
Awesome.
So let's do a loop to add those to the scene.
Okay. You want to do like a for loop?
For, and then let I equal 0, I is less than cloud pause dot length, I plus plus.
Oh man, I honestly, I don't remember the last time I did a for loop from scratch. Can you walk me through this? From I never do just for loops. I let it finish for me. So it's just for parentheses, let I equal 0, semicolon, right?
And then I is less than the length of cloud pause.
So cloud
pause dot length.
Yeah, and then
I plus plus.
Yeah, and then we got this, right?
You got it. There you go.
Yeah, I'm always doing either map or for each for the most part. So I'm just or I'm letting the snippet finish for, and I just let it go. Whew.
Those are super valid ways to do it.
Yeah,
I think I read years ago that the classic for loop is slightly more performant.
Got it. Makes sense.
Maybe because it's not giving you as many values passed in. I don't know.
All right.
Anyway,
I just want to say hey to Will and Jacob. Thanks for coming through. Good to see you both. Will, I agree. We need to figure this out. Good to see you.
Get to the bottom of this.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so we're going to give ourselves a const called cloud, and then we'll get the document, or will be equal to a new element. So we're going to document.create element. And then the element we're creating is a div, in quotes.
Cool.
And then I love GSAP set. So below this, we're going to do GSAP set, and then cloud is your target, and the object is going to be.
So just for the chat, you can either pass it a string of like a class or an ID, or you can actually pass it the element or a reference to the element itself, like we're doing here. So very, very handy.
Yep. And then here is the big chunk for defining the cloud values, and we can just talk through it real quick rather than.
Cool. So I'm pasting all that.
That should all go right inside your object. There you go.
Cool. You just save it. So we got all these clouds. We're going to loop through every single cloud or every array inside this array of arrays. And then we are setting the new element that we're creating. We're giving it a class, width, height. Cool. Sorry, I realize I'm talking through it.
Yeah, and if you want, go ahead and open that clouds.png.
Okay.
So in several different places in here, I created just a little single file that actually has, all the different flavors of that kind of connected.
It's like a sprite sheet, right?
It's a sprite sheet, but not for sequence animations. Yeah. And really, there's no reason you couldn't make like one big master sprite sheet. But this just, for sort of clarity's sake, I kept my clouds in one sprite sheet.
Yeah. With HTTP2, I don't think that it's as necessary to do that. Those kind of like sprite sheet tricks, right? Like we used to have like the It's like the SVG sprite sheets, right? For icons, just not as necessary anymore. It's my understanding.
Is that because
Wrong, chat.
the number of HTTP requests don't hurt your load time as much?
It doesn't hurt as much. Yeah, that's my understanding. I know Killian in the chat would definitely know. That's my elementary understanding, is that you can do like concurrent requests, and it's not like if you've got 20 images to fetch, it's not going to be as big of a deal, because it used to be like one big image used to be better. Chat, if I'm speaking up my butt, let me know. Happy to be corrected.
Well, I think in terms of like asset management, like in terms of like the developer experience, you can kind of make a scary mess with a huge sprite sheet, and you can also make a scary mess with a lot of little tiny things. So sometimes it's nice to group stuff together, particularly if you're going to be slicing it up and creating new elements with it. So just we're giving basically some controlled randomness to the scale. So it'll either be half scale or it'll either be 0.3% scale and up to 0.8%.
Got it.
That's on line 69.
Really cool solution. Just real quick, we got Jacob saying HTTP2 keeps the pipe open where previous didn't, so you don't need to make that connection 20 times, which is why that wasn't recommended in the past. And Mike says SVG sprites let you add multiple instances with the use element and style them all independently, which is really cool.
However, use with caution if you're going to do any really complicated animation stuff.
Got it.
Doesn't always play well with clip path and mask.
Interesting. Lots of expert advice in the chat and on the stream. Always good to be surrounded by people smarter than me, because it's a big pool. It's a big pool of people.
I think the key to being a good web developer is having better web developers around you to ask your questions.
Yep.
Like
I appreciate
Zach
you all showing
up. Okay, so we're going down. We're using those values from the arrays that are in the arrays to define the left and top position.
Right.
So that's what's happening on line 70 and 71.
Yep.
The X% is positioning them on those, that specific point. And then, it's middle, bottom.
Yeah, makes sense. Cool.
And then we're giving it a background image and doing the background position offset calculation there. So maybe that's the one that needs a little bit more attention. So in CSS, your background position would be 0 and then negative something in PX. And so we're using Modolo 15 because there's 15, I think, clouds.
15 of these?
I think so.
Yeah, looks like it.
I don't know why I did 15. Honestly, I'm forgetting why 15 was the number.
It's 15. Yep. Yeah. There's 15 of those.
Okay. And then multiplied by 120. Wouldn't it not need it?
I don't know if this is needed, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure it is.
I think
either.
that was in case you added more, it would loop back through for some reason.
Yeah. I should have cleaned up my code.
No, man, it's all good. It's all good. We can just keep trucking. I'm gonna get some.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's
see
some stuff.
I know we're pausing for a while on some things that are really window dressing before we get to the guts of what we really promised to build.
All good.
So let's toss all of those into the scene with a document.getElementById, and then append the clouds to BG.
Okay, and I think I'm in the right.
Yep, you're You do it before you close out the for loop.
Okay, cool. Oh, got it. Oh, so here in here. Okay, so
Yep, there you go.
you said document.append?
Document.getElement by ID.
Cool.
Or in most modern browsers, I think you can just write the ID by name. I think they become global variables, but that wasn't always dependable back in the olden days.
Oh, okay.
Document.getElement by ID, and then BG is the element, the ID name, and then .append. You don't need the hashtag. It's the ID string.
Right. Thank you. That's.
And then .append, and you're giving it the cloud.
Cool. So cloud. Right. That's. Yep. Awesome. So
we still can't see them yet. So I think we should probably gloss over the other generative pieces. Well, at least the debris one. We don't need the debris. That can be.
Could be a bonus at the end.
Yeah.
Cool.
The exact same setup for creating our clouds is how we're going to create the Godzilla title. So I just gave you.
Oh, got it.
Code chunk.
Got it.
It'll when you pretty it become very similar in appearance to the clouds we just did.
Getting an error, missing parenthesis after argument list. Let me see what
maybe I messed up on my cut and paste.
I don't know. I'm seeing.
We can go shorter in smaller pieces.
Let me just try it one more time, pasting it in. I think it's.
Oh, hit return.
Yeah. Yep. I think that. No.
No, you need a. It's that.
This.
There you go.
There it is. Okay. Yeah, it's all coming in as one string. It's the chat thing. It's not on you.
Comment.
It's just.
Yeah, no, but I mean, it was my comment that
it was commenting out everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So you got these cool letters, these classic Godzilla letters, and you're saying.
Okay, so it's exactly the same thing. If you'll open Godzilla's.png, Godzilla cars.png. Yeah, there you go.
Chat, check it out.
This is the exact same sprite sheet, character by character.
It's the technique.
And you just cut out your characters from the Godzilla.
Now, is it so like instead of, because I was kind of expecting to see it in more of like a grid setup, are they offset like this because that is where they should be horizontally? You've just offset them vertically from one another, and that's.
I did vertically because it's, the piece is shorter than it is wide.
Right.
That would.
Yeah.
And then the offset position calculus is so much easier if it's just in a line rather than in a grid.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Because then you'd have to track when to change the row, and because you're doing all of this manually, basically. You're not using some sprite packer and unpacker.
Right. No, that's really clever. Yeah, and so the A slides up only; it doesn't go off to the left or the right.
Yep. So
that's handy.
Can we take a quick peek back at the characters?
Yep.
So on line, I'm sorry.
Oh,
I meant
here.
Yeah,
cool.
Your code. On line 89, we're using z-index to put the last two characters behind the rest of it. Because if the little lower left corner of the L stuck out, it would cover up the other L that it should be sitting behind, and the same for the A, especially for the A.
Got it.
So we're just using a little z-index management for those last two characters, because everything else should be stacked on top of itself.
Makes sense.
And then
cool.
Let's get into the hot sauce.
All right.
Let's do the timeline.
Cool.
So the first scroll trigger we're gonna do I think two of them. The first one is just gonna toggle when to build off the title and fade away the info.
Cool.
And so GSAP.timeline, and then let's give it an initial object inside of that
To set some defaults
where we
for
define the
each of
scroll trigger.
Okay, cool.
So scroll trigger, and then we're going to give that an object of values for the scroll trigger. And so the trigger is going to be scroll dist. That's the ID of, it's just, sorry.
Yeah.
That's the ID name. The trigger is the prop.
Thank you. Cool.
There you go.
There you go. Cool.
And then we're going to set it to horizontal true.
Cool.
Then we're going to start at 300, so start 300.
Okay.
And we're going to end at 301. If you don't care about the reverse action, you don't need an end, but you have to give it an end if you care about the reverse action, which I do.
Cool.
The last prop, we're going to give the toggle actions. So toggle actions with a camel case on the A.
With an S or just
actions? Yeah, plural.
Cool.
And so definitely worth going and looking in the docs to understand toggle actions better. But it's a string that defines the on enter, on leave, on enter back, and on leave back in that order.
Okay.
So we're gonna
Let's
in a
bring
string,
up the,
right?
I'm gonna bring up the docs real quick. Scroll trigger.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Just real quick so that we kind of understand. So what you just said, the on enter, on leave. What were the other ones?
Maybe search the page for toggle actions.
Cool. Rich callback system including
jump.
on enter, on leave, on enter back, on leave back. A few more actually.
Those are other toggle or callback things that you can plug into and do neat stuff with.
Cool. Just want to make sure the chat has access.
An update will be used in our next scroll trigger.
Okay. So you got these
but so the
methods.
toggle actions are a shorthand for setting 4 and 1.
Cool. So we have access to these 4, and the default is play none none none. So it plays, and then when you leave, nothing changes.
Doesn't do anything. Doesn't do anything on coming back, and it doesn't do anything on
Got
coming
it.
back. But what we want to do is we want to play, and then none on leave, reverse on enter back, and then none
so
on
that
leave
he walks
back.
backwards.
This is the title. This is the text. We're just doing the text.
Oh,
part.
text. Thank you. Thank you for correcting. Okay.
We're dipping our toe in the scroll trigger, and then we'll go to the character animation. We're really drawing out the heat of the meat.
Cool. All good. Cool.
Okay, so toggle actions should be play, space, none, space, reverse, space, none.
Okay, cool.
And then beneath that, in the actual timeline, we're going to give it 3 2 tweens. So the first one is .2, and we're going to do something to all the title car class.
Okay, so title.
The target is title car. You got it.
Cool.
And then the duration is 0.6. The scale is 0. Stagger. I'm going too fast. Sorry.
That's fine. So that's
scale 0.
0.6 seconds, and then scale is 0.
Stagger is 0.1.
Cool. And so stagger is going to make it so that the first item comes in before the next one by 0.1 seconds. So like so the second one is delayed.
No, this is exiting. So we're starting with it in an up state. We're going to get rid of the characters in sequence, and they're going to all scale to 0.
Okay, cool.
And then let's give it an ease of expo.in. That'll be a string. It'll be a string.
Right. Jack, I do appreciate the string-based eases.
Oh, it's so good. The syntax changes that came in GSAP 3 is so good.
Yeah.
Okay, so all of the stuff in our timeline should start at 0. All 2 of the stuff.
Okay.
That means you need to throw one more property in that to tween. Scroll down. So right after the end of your object, comma, 0.
Position parameter?
Yep, you got it.
Cool.
Okay, get rid of the semicolon there though, because we want to add another thing. But you might actually be able to see it happen right now. What happens?
Yeah.
There you go.
Check that out. And as I scroll back, because we have
toggle actions.
As we're scrolling, can you? We kind of skimmed past it, but I would love to come back to it just real quick. So the trigger. Can you talk about what trigger is? And actually, do we can we put on the helpers? How do you put those on again? I forget. Do you know what I mean?
I haven't used them in long enough time that I don't know them offhand.
Helper register plugin markers true. Thank you, Jack. I appreciate it. I find them helpful, and I really appreciate also that they are right there. Word to the wise, because I know someone who's done this. Don't ship your site with markers true on, because then people see the little thing at the bottom. I don't know who did it, but might have been me. So as you see, like that. Yeah, I think everyone can see that on the thing. Yeah, so those markers show where start and end. It starts to trigger right there. So that is what's that start and end thing, and how does that connect to trigger?
300 pixels from the left, and 301 is the end, so that you've got something for it to trip on as it goes backwards.
Cool. So they're like right next to each other, and it brings it back as we come back to the start. So as we scroll over, the title goes away and it fades back in real nice. Looks good.
Yep. Just real quick, let's fade off the rest of this.
Fade off the rest of this?
Yes. So let's change the opacity of pre-title and blurb. That's the two of our specialties.
Okay. Are we just adding it on the end here?
Yeah.
Cool.
Just as long as you don't have a... Yeah, there you go.
Yep, we're good.
So .2. And then the target is going to be both the class of pre-title and the class of blurb. So you can put those comma separated. You got it.
Cool.
It's a pretty handy trick. The ability to pass in multiple references.
Yeah, I agree.
And if you have like variable names that you want to mix with class definitions, you can just wrap the whole thing in a comma separated array.
Nice.
So you can the target thing is really versatile.
Yeah.
So you're going to give it a duration of 0.4.
Cool.
I would think the default duration is actually 0.5. So it's probably not even that necessary to define a duration, but
this is a very bespoke component that we need here, Tom. So this is perfect.
It's super bespoke.
Yes.
Okay, opacity 0.
Cool.
And you don't have to do this, and I'm wasting time by landing on it, but the ease I love for fading opacity, if you're just fading opacity, is power 1.in out. I think it's a really nice kind of gentle, it's better than the default power 2 or power 3 that would be there if you didn't define the ease.
Got it.
I think, and then let's stagger this by 0.3 so that the pre-title and the blurb don't go out at once.
Cool. I love a tip like that, honestly. Like that's fantastic. I will always yeah. Nice.
It won't be appreciated by anybody but like the most persnickety detail oriented
that's why we're here.
Animators.
Tom, we're here to make everyone as, I think you said, persnickety as you. We're trying to pass the persnicketyness on to others so that the internet is a more beautiful place. So please let us know what eases we should go with.
The way it's set right now, without giving it a position parameter after that object, of properties, it's going to happen in sequence. It's going to be added to
Right.
the end of the current 0.6 second duration on the title text. So if you give it 0, then it'll align it, and then when you do it, it'll all start from the very beginning at the same time.
Cool.
Need to do one last thing on this.
Super quick, just because I know not everyone has used a lot of GreenSock. So what we just did here, this last thing. So for the GSAP API, right? You can do to, you can do a set, you can do a from, you can do a from to, you can do lots of methods that allow you to impact or animate whatever you choose. So you do to, and then you select what elements you want to affect, and then thank you. And then we're passing in these, how'd you put it, Tom?
Properties, an object of properties that you're affecting.
Cool, perfect. And then this last one, this position parameter is saying where on the timeline you want it to start. 0 makes it happen at the very beginning. And then if we were to pass 1, that would happen
at the 1 second mark.
At the 1 second mark, and then you can also do like a plus equals 1 to happen.
Well, let's do that. Let's demonstrate that, because the last thing we got to add to this timeline is
let's keep this at 0.
A relatively positioned .2. So .2.
Awesome. You're a step ahead of me.
It's almost like you built the segue.
Almost like it. If only I would have known a little more deeply what we were building. I could have set that up a lot smoother. So anyway.
That's pretty good. Intro for the query selector, and then the duration is going to be 0.1, and we're going to just make the whole intro block auto alpha 0, which would be opacity 0 and visibility. What is it? Visibility none?
Is it none or hidden?
It's shorthand that basically
interesting
affects both of those things at once.
I've never used auto alpha. That's cool.
So auto alpha is, I think, remnant from the Flash days, and it did the same thing, because you could have these interactive pieces layered so that it blocked interactivity, whether that was by accident or intentional.
Got it.
But auto alpha would set the display to none.
Okay. Now is intro our container for all of this? Is that why we're getting rid of it?
Yeah. So we want to be able to click through this fixed block of content. When you want to destroy stuff in the town.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
But while it's here, we don't want it to.
Yeah, and then at the end of it, you don't want it to get in the way. So let's relatively position this at the end the same amount of time that it took to do the duration. So do a string minus equals .1.
Cool.
So at the very, very tail end of this, 0.1 second from however long it takes to do this tween will occur.
Got it. So it's going to happen. It's going to happen not at 0, but at where in the timeline is this going to happen?
Okay, so if you picture the whole timeline, it's I think 0.6 seconds of text animating, but then each one of those is staggered out 1. I don't know how many characters we've got.
Okay, got it. I forgot that this takes time and everything. Cool.
But instead of having to bother with absolutely positioning it at a pre-calculated position, you can just relatively tack it on to the end of the tween's duration at that point.
Got it. So these are both going to start at the same time, this one and this one. But whatever we put afterwards,
positioned at 0.
Right. So those are positioned there, but this one's going to start after the longest one. Is that how it works, or it's going to start after the one that it's chained to? It's going to start after the longest.
It's going to start at the very end of it's going to start 0.1 seconds before the very end of your existing timeline. Whatever you've done before that.
Got it. Oh, and
so if you made changes that would make things go longer, then it's still positioned 0.1 seconds from the end of it.
Cool. Okay.
There's
That's
other
really
ways to do that, and I think Kathy did a really good job creating a pen that illustrates that.
Yeah, when GreenSock came out with, I don't know, 3 point something new, Jack, I'm sure you know the number. But they just added percentage based positioning, right? So you can do like 50% of this distance. 3.7. Thank you, Jack. And just real quick, couple things. Ben, so glad to see you. And Jack says, think of auto alpha like animating opacity, but also automatically toggling visibility to hidden or inherit accordingly. Interesting. So wait, I think I need to process that one more time. Think of auto alpha like animating opacity, but also automatically toggling visibility to. Oh, okay, got it. Yep. Awesome. Thank you, Jack. And 3.7. Awesome. So good to see so many good people in here. Thank you for coming through. All right, nice. We've got that set up. So this is fading out. Let's get to the goods. Let's get to walking.
So, over an hour in, we're going to actually do the kaiju walking.
Awesome,
part.
Good. We're good.
Bury the lead.
No, it's all good.
So jump down a few lines, and we're going to start a new timeline. And it can be anonymous too. It doesn't have to have.
Awesome.
Yeah. And inside of here, we're going to set some defaults for all of the tweens that will be set. So defaults.
Cool.
Type defaults.
Oh, okay, got it.
And then the object will contain ease, colon none, the string.
Okay.
And a duration of .1.
Got it. And so this defaults object applies this, whatever you pass in to everything that we're going to chain on top of this timeline, right?
Right. So if you had, 50 different tweens and they all had a duration of 0.1, you don't want to have to write duration 1 50 times.
Yeah.
So you can just
cleans up your code a lot.
Yeah. And I think there's a way to adjust the global default duration or global defaults for GreenSock as well.
GSAP?
But this is default specifically to the timeline.
Awesome. Cool.
Let's see. Scroll trigger is what we're setting up next.
Awesome. And Jack comes through GSAP.defaults. It's exactly what you would kind of expect, right?
There you go.
Jack, thank you so much.
Is there anywhere with more clear syntax?
It's a fantastic library, and neither Tom nor I are paid to say all this stuff. We just genuinely like it.
My life is richer, and I want other people's lives to be richer because of the developer experience. Anyway, so back up there after your default object. Let's create another definition in there for the scroll trigger, just like we did above. And if it helps to save a little time, let's go cut and paste from above.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. We can just talk on.
Jump up to the Godzilla text one.
Tom, Jack is outing us. Jack, we try not to look like shills on here.
So just scroll up a little bit and you can grab your own code.
Sorry. I thought you were going to paste me a thing. That's my fault.
No,
I was not listening.
Trying my hardest not to keep skipping over stuff.
All good, man. Cool.
Okay, so again, we're using scroll dist. Again, we're setting the horizontal to true. In this case, we're going to start top, or I guess top, bottom is more for the vertical, but it still works exactly the way we want it to for the horizontal.
I'm not sure what you mean. So
start. If you start at the string value of top.
Oh, right. I vaguely remember this. Yeah.
Yep. And then your end is going to be bottom.
Got it. Yeah. I still don't have a great mental model on this. So if
I think because it's such a robust and flexible API that it does create a bit of a learning curve, and it's a really complex subject.
Yeah.
But if you went to vertical, top, bottom would work correctly. And in horizontal scrolling, it does the switch for us to handle the correct start and end.
Okay.
So we basically want the scroll trigger to handle the progress of this tween from the very beginning of the scroll disk's positioning by default, and then its very possible end.
So bottom is going to be
progress.
Bottom is not. It's not
right.
The like down, like it's off
to
the right. It's the very end of the scroll is bottom.
So I wish I had brushed up on the API, so I hope I don't misspeak. But what you're saying is that you want the top of the trigger and the top of the viewport or the scroller container. And so that's defining the top. Like those things match. That's the starting position. And then at the very end, when the bottom of the viewport and the bottom of the scroll disk come into contact, then that's the very end.
Cool. Okay, and we've got a bit of expert information here. Left is the same horizontally as top, and you can use them interchangeably. That's awesome. And right is like bottom. Very cool.
So for anything that is difficult to understand with this, Jack made an incredibly informative explainer video about the scroll trigger plugin because it's so deep. Yep. I mean that cool. Thing, you could watch it 3 times and still glean new stuff. But it's just an incredible resource for getting started with this scroll trigger.
Perfect. All right, great.
So we don't want toggle actions on this one.
At all.
Instead, we're going to use the scrub. So you can get rid of that scrub. So we're not toggling anything. We're using the scroll trigger information to manipulate the progress of the timeline. So this will just be 05. True is fine, but it's not what we're...
Right. Yeah. This is going to give it a little bit of ease, right? Isn't that like 0.7? So this will give it half a second of catching up.
Under the hood, I think it's tweening the progress with a 5-second duration on the tween of the progress of this timeline.
Cool.
And if you want even more control over that, I think there's a way to use event listeners to write your own tween of that progress.
Cool.
Because maybe you want to mess with like the easing of that progress tween. Anyway, starting to get a little too inception-y.
Into the weeds, but still they're cool weeds. And I think I sound like I'm opening a dispensary. All right, let's move on.
You're in Florida. It's a great spot to do it.
Cool. What's next?
Okay, so the last thing we need in the scroll trigger props is on update. And you're going to do on update and then just give it an arrow function that passes in the parameter S.
S?
Yep.
Cool.
S is an object that has some information inside about the scroll trigger.
Okay.
And so inside of here, we can just set the walk direction equal walk dir. Hey, sir.
Walk, sir.
Cool. Equal to s dot direction.
Awesome.
So way back at the beginning when we were talking about negative or positive 1, that's going to be positive 1 when we're moving to the right and negative 1 when we're moving back to the left.
Awesome.
Okay, so we need to write the timeline of Kaiju walking. And so, trying to find.
Paste that in?
Maybe hit save just to pretty it up.
Chat over it. Yeah. See, I've got you hooked on prettier now. You're just expecting, or you're just so horrified by the way that I use tabs and returns and things. You're just like, just please save it so it's not
I've thought a couple of times that GreenSock should have its own code formatting thing, because a lot of the time, like the default prettier is good, but it chops up things maybe a little too much when it would be nice to maintain certain animation declarations.
Got it. All right.
Without
so maybe
breaking them line.
Maybe that's what's coming in 3.8. We're not sure. Jack, can you confirm or deny?
This is a bad place to be requesting changes to the API or changes to the.
This is the perfect place. This is the only place I know. Cool. All right. So I just pasted that in and hit save. So we've got, I think, two kaiju. Yeah. So that's what we had before.
2 tweens that we just added.
Cool.
Okay. So the 2 tween you just added is pointing to the kaiju, which was a group in the SVG, and that is going to now take 10 seconds to walk across the motion path. So
got it.
The motion path is being defined by this object that gives it the path name. Basically gets the path data out of that D property.
Takes the path data out of that D property.
Hop into the HTML. Yeah, you can walk path. There you go.
Oh, got it. Sorry.
Yep. There you go. So
cool.
That's the actual path that we're going to walk on. So that's
cool.
Setting that there. Then we're giving it an align origin, so it puts it right in the middle. And then we're also giving it the auto rotate, which handles.
Right.
Otherwise, Godzilla would just walk like this.
Yeah, he'd be very flat, and he would
articulate
go up and
to the hillside.
Yeah,
so
like
auto rotate.
The direction or the slant of the hill. Yeah, and at the end, if you are curious about that, just comment it out, and you'll see exactly what we mean.
Yep, for sure.
Cool.
All
right.
And then immediate render true will just make sure that he's sitting where he should be. That may not be necessary, but it doesn't hurt to keep it there for now.
Cool.
And then we positioned it at 0. That last
in the position parameter,
on 157.
Cool. So in the timeline, not on the
right
in the DOM or anything. Cool.
And then this is going to be a from tween that just scales him up, so he looks like he's kind of walking in from the distance, and that takes 2 seconds. And then at the very end, give him 2 seconds to get smaller as he walks up the mountain.
Cool.
And so I think we should be able, if you open it up enough, maybe we can see his feet move away.
Let's see, I don't see his feet anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, I do see my calendar. I do see. Really?
Are we getting close to the end?
To the end of the screen?
Calendar is telling us that we've done.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't see Godzilla at all anymore.
We're not following it yet, so let's follow it.
Okay.
I'm going to skip over the home text or the breakable stuff text.
Yeah.
But in the finished version of this, I just animated a little appear and disappear of the different home texts that were along the line.
Yeah, and we see that at the in the final version. So.
Yep, but it's not essential to what we're working on right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just dropped another thing into the chat.
Cool. So let walk
so
sequence.
This is creating a variable that will allow us to reference this tween. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
Previously, we've been doing all these anonymous timelines and tweens that are part of those anonymous timelines because we don't need to reference them anymore. But in this case, we need a tween that we can keep telling to walk. And the walk is literally just changing incrementally the position of Godzilla within his clip path. So there's that long sprite sheet, and it goes 7 times 7 steps, and there's some kind of magic math here that you have to figure out how many steps and how much it needs to be offset upward so that it correctly positions inside of that clip path to only display the next step in the sequence.
Cool. So for everyone who is not familiar with step eases, it basically
there's no tween. There's nothing in between.
Instead of doing this like smooth scroll from one to the other, it's just like a flip book where all of a sudden you see the next image, and it's just an immediate change rather than like a slide to the next one.
Yep.
Cool. So that's why we're using that. Awesome.
That takes 7 seconds to go through all 7 steps.
Cool. Okay. So it's moving.
That was a from to tween. So it will always force it to start from 0 and go to negative 1890.
And that's like the height of this, essentially.
I think it's less 1 step.
Got it. Makes sense. Yep, that looks right. Cool. All right. So we got the walk in there. Now we need to really that little like fun scroll feature is so fun.
We haven't yet gotten the ticker part, and so that's what's going to allow us to follow Godzilla along his path. So I don't want to go too fast with this, but I also know we're needing to be sensitive on time. So I just gave you. Actually, I should probably give it to you line by line because I've got a bunch of comments in there.
You just gave me some stuff, and I'll figure it out. Now that we've got it, we can get this sorted. All right, so tween container, we got that. Tween container position, cool. I'll sort this out. Don't worry about it. Loop POV moving. There we go. True when X difference is more than 5. Trigger walking sequence. I think I'm getting it right. Is that about what we needed?
The best part about auto update and ticker functions is that you frequently crash your CodePen.
Interesting.
If there's anything wrong in there, it's possible that we'll crash your CodePen.
That's good to know now, Tom. No, I'm just kidding. It's all good. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Do you have the end of the ticker?
Thought we did.
No, it doesn't look like
no.
Maybe I just didn't cut and paste that. Sorry.
All good. All good about it. It's all good.
And then close the parentheses.
Yep. Good call.
Right where you were. Yeah.
Cool. And thank you for following, Splashly. I've seen your stream.
We are getting somewhere.
We are getting somewhere. All right. Chat. I know. The magic just happened. We will go back and see it.
Just cut and paste the magic. That's okay.
That's okay. It's so fine. Right. It's just so good. Here we go. And Godzilla's moving as I smush him. There we go. Okay, so we've got this magic. We spend 90 minutes on
setup and then just cut and paste.
That's all good. That's all good. That's how movies work. That's how it goes. It's a whole lot of like, oh, what's this character about? And then there's a big fight scene, happens really fast, and then we just roll credits. But we're going to talk this one through.
All right. So on tick, which is tied to request animation frame.
Wait. Where's on tick? Oh.
Yep. There you go. So the GSAP ticker. Cool. It's exactly the same. So you're gonna call this function every tick. So that should be around 60 frames per second.
Got it.
And you can throttle that down through some of the ticker methods
if you need to. But we're good.
Again,
cool.
GSAP docs are super awesome. So find more information on that ticker. But,
no worries.
In here, we're calling a function that will first tween the container's X and Y position to the inverse of Kaiju's X and Y position.
Okay, so container is essentially the frame that is always with me. So like, is that right? Like I'm always in the container right now?
So container's the big stage.
The entire thing. Got it.
It's the container's the 4100 by 3000.
It holds this, right? Like it's everything. It's what we're scrolling through. That's container. Cool.
And so then kaiju is animated in that timeline that we just did, that is progressing based on scroll position.
Right.
And in the ticker, we are changing the position of container. This is X and Y to invert kaiju's X and Y. So we're using GSAP get property to get the X and Y of the current X and Y 60 times per second, finding out what that is, and then we're tweening to it over 5 seconds, 0.5 seconds. So it's got a nice smooth quality to it. If you change that duration to 1 second, it would make it an even more sluggish camera follow, or you can make it really snappy and put it down to like 0.1 or something like that.
Got it. That's cool. Okay. So this is what's moving the background.
One thing you wouldn't want to do is set your ease to anything that's .in or in-out. You want it always to be out, because you want the taper to, like, you're basically creating 60 tweens per second, and you're overwriting them a lot. And so you want your eases to be nicely stacked. Like if you picture what that ease looks like on a graph, you want always to be an ease out when you're doing something like that, because you want the taper to always be coming to a slow, nice end. So if you had it at back in out or something like that, or back in, it cause all kinds of jankiness.
It'll stack and it'll like kind of snap.
Yeah, right? You wouldn't have this nice layering of that's so smooth.
Yeah. He speeds up and slows down real nice. I think that's good. Yeah. We got a quick tip from Jack of GreenSock. He says you should add overwrite true or auto on that tween you're creating in the ticker, so you're not creating overlapped and conflicting tweens. You'd never notice it, but I'm a performance nut. So nice tip.
Does Jack know, or I'm sure Jack knows? Can Jack tell us what the default overwrite is set to? Because it seems to be. I thought it might be true. I think auto is.
It's set to false.
More calculation. Overwrite false?
That's what he says. He says the default is false.
Okay.
Interesting. So where would we put that? Just in here?
As another line there, maybe right after ease or right after Y. Overwrite.
Before V3, it was auto. Oh, so Tom, before version 3, it was auto, but now it's false.
Okay. Overwrite, and then the value is true.
Cool.
Because I think auto costs more than true.
Okay. Cool.
Auto will make sure that it's only overwriting the properties that are different, and so it has to calculate what properties are actually being. Did we lose it?
We might have just broken.
Maybe we need to set overwrite to auto.
Maybe auto. Let's see what we got. There we go. Okay. Auto seems to be it.
Okay. Cool.
All right. At least it's back. I can't really tell, but looking good. All right. And so the point of view moving, is this to see whether or not the camera needs to move?
Right. So we need something to trigger Godzilla's feet. Otherwise, Godzilla just ice skates through this scene. So we want to step through the walking sequence when the camera is greater than 5 pixels away from where it's supposed to be at the end of that tween.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So
yep.
There's a fair amount packed into this calculation of POV moving, but it's
so we want a positive value of containers X. So the containers X
will always be negative. It'll always be 0 or negative. So it's negative whatever X plus kaiju's positive X.
Okay.
We want that to always be
greater than 5. Okay.
So if there's like 20 pixels still to catch up with Godzilla, then we should POV should be set to moving, and we should.
So that's why if I move him real slow, he's not going to walk.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it. So we don't want to have it trigger all the time.
This is a kind of a fine balance, because you want it to be stopping. You don't want him to take too many extra steps, and you kind of get that if you wait until you're caught all the way up to him.
Right.
So that's this extra bit of logic, checking whether or not there's
that's cool.
5 pixels to get.
Awesome. And so if point of view moving and GreenSock
and walk is not already animating.
Oh, I'm looking up that word apparently. Walk sequence play. So and then this is what's
From
the zero?
From it resets 0. The timeline to 0. Yeah.
Got it. Cool. All right. Nice. We are pretty well. We're over time. It's totally fine.
No.
It's all good. Do we want to skip to the final version and talk to anything that we haven't touched on yet?
Yeah. Let's just take a quick peek at. I mean, we got real close.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I just want to make sure everyone sees the final version. So we've got a few added things, and I hope that everyone's able to see the details here. I'm going to go full screen on this for a sec. I hope everyone can see that there's like this crackling effect there, or it feels like an old timey film. And I realize that the full screen isn't much more full than this. So, yeah, so we've got that first off. And real quick, Jacob says, sounds almost like a fly-by-wire thing, similar to how jets fly. I'm not sure what that means. Are you familiar? I'm not sure what you mean, Jacob. Sorry.
You said the dust and scratches effect?
No.
Very much.
Oh. I'm sorry. I thought he asked that before. I thought you were saying that it was about the dust and scratches. You go ahead, Tom.
Yeah. The dust and scratches is very much doing a similar approach to the way that we created the clouds and the way that we created Godzilla's text elements. It's just it's looping I think 8 times or something like that over a film dust sprite sheet.
Got it.
And then it's using
cloud
a dust
position
function that
okay. So it's looping through a sprite sheet and placing it at like a random spot. Is that kind of how it's working?
Yep.
Awesome. That's really cool.
And then it keeps randomly
just
positioning,
giving it a new position.
All of the 8 bits of dust and scratch that were in
That's really cool. It's an awesome effect. And so as we scroll, and so in this one, you do have it so that he turns around. So that was the walk direction, right? That you had earlier. Yeah. So the walk
Yes.
So that changes because you get that value from GreenSock, and it'll turn negative if we're going back, and you can flip him or go that way.
So that would be in the ticker function as well. That we'd have.
Got it.
I think it's on like 145.
145.
Cool. 154.
Got it. So mouth, walk. So scale X, walk direction. Yeah. So it's either scale X is 1, so he's that way, or if you do a -1, it's -100. It just flips him. That's really clever implementation. I love that.
And because of his size, you need to adjust the transform origin so that he ends in the right position, flipping around. But
that's cool
because there's more of him on his tail than there is on the front of him.
Right. His center of mass, according to the PNG, is like here. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, this is so great. So the auto rotate thing was like him going up this hill. He actually faces up, right? Like he slants up. Was just that thing that we touched on earlier, right?
Yeah,
auto rotate.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. So you were just saying I should click on things, right?
Well, you should just click the window, period, because I think he opens his mouth unclicked.
Yep. So I'm clicking. He opens his mouth.
What the mouth portion was. But if you click on some of those houses, the Easter egg we never got around to making is
all good. We've got it here. So this is the fun part of the bulleted list. So as you alluded to earlier, Tom, you took this, like, every website has a, like, we do, like, we clean houses, bathrooms, kitchens, right? Like, all right,
Yeah.
bulleted lists are kind of boring. So instead of saying, like, we destroy single family homes or whatever, Tom made this, and I'll do the debug real quick so they get like the full featured, because I think it's just so great on the big screen. And you can see the clouds are positioned there. We destroy single family homes, and you click it and it goes. We destroy fishing huts. We destroy temples and pagodas. I love this one. Radio towers. We destroy it all. Oh shoot, I missed that one. I think
That was Palace Gates.
that was Palace Gates. Yeah. And so much more. And then there's the end of it. It's just so good. It's just so much better than like that bulleted list, right? Like it
hopefully.
Oh,
so much crazier.
It is fantastic. Yeah, really. That Mac feature really needs to go. Nuha says, this is so cool. Nino Pepper says, oh my God, I love it. Totally agree. It is just such a fun one. Can you set this to public so we can drop it in chat if you don't mind? I would love for them to be able to play with it. That's my one that I made here. Yeah, was there anything else we wanted to touch on? So the way that this like fishing hut destruction thing works is that it's got a like an on click for each of these. Is that?
That's right. The whole window is on click, and then it gets the target.
If the target matches the destructible or the breakable, is that what it was? Yeah. If
it has the class of breakable, then run the debris animation.
Awesome. So
which I think is at the very tail of the pen.
Yeah, so set debris, and so that just basically takes a few images and kind of like just it gives them a toss and then they fall. Is that kind of accurate?
I think the debris is also a sprite sheet of little
perfect
kind of squiggles that I drew.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
the temples and pagodas, and then they just kind of toss up, and then it looks like they scale up and then they shrink down and the opacity goes, right? Is that
sure? Yeah. So
the animation?
If you open up the JavaScript a little bit, you can see the different tweens that do each one of those bits.
Oh, cool.
You've got one that's so function values are like the coolest thing in GreenSock. I use them all the time. But
cool.
So if you're affecting a target that has a list of values, it's not just one target, it's all of the things that have a class of debris. Then you want different values to come out of it. And so with function values for those props, it's going to iterate through for each one of those things in the target list. And so you don't even have to pass in like the different parameters that you could use to, like, I would count through the different debris that you're affecting.
Right.
You can just use it to get a different value returned each time it loops through.
That's really handy. That's so cool. Yeah, I've never
so the X
used
is
these functions.
Spreading it, and then the Y is dropping it. And
it.
the scale is happening at the very end so that it all disappears.
Scale's down to 0. That takes half a second. Awesome. A small delay. And then position parameter.
So you don't always have the same fizzle duration.
Got it.
Or positioning.
And then this is you finding out what text is associated with that building and then fading that out. Is that accurate?
Yeah, because you don't want to have the label over the top of dead space.
Nah, I was curious how you were doing that though. That's really clever. So the T is the name of that. Is that correct? Yeah, it's the target.
Yeah, T is the target.
Cool.
Then this was what I was talking about. You can use an array to point to different targets that are both like a variable name and the query string.
Right, that's cool. So
label.
pagoda, and then you do pagoda txt, and then that is what you're. Yeah, so you're targeting the pagoda, like the image of the pagoda, and then you're also targeting something with a class of Pagoda TXT. That's awesome.
There you go.
Tom, that's a really clever solution to that. That's great. I don't know if I would have had that.
Well, maybe it's
cool.
too compact.
I think it's really nice. No, I would have done some whole thing of like, making an object or like linking them together some manual way in my JavaScript. This is so much tidier just to have that quick little string concatenation or whatever. That's fantastic. Yeah. Tom, this is so cool. I totally agree with Jack. Nice job as usual. Mike is blown away with his horse emojis. Streamlab says, thank you for following Metal. Let's go with Metal. Thank you for following Metal. I appreciate it. Welcome. And Jacob says, yay, love it. So yeah, last but not least, just wanted to say that yes, indeed, Tom made these awesome animations for the GreenSock homepage. And did we drop the link into chat on this the Godzilla? Sorry, I know I'm going back and forth.
I did the public in our chat.
Oh, in our chat. Cool.
On StreamYard.
Let me drop that to them. One sec. Want to make sure you can all go play with this and check it out for yourself. Cells. All right, that should work there. Cool. Where was I with the GreenSock? Yeah. So these are all so cool. I love these. So this is
actually, we should also give a little shout out to Zach Saucier from last week. He was a big help implementing this and making sure that what I did was up to snuff. I couldn't figure out the math for how to calculate where the click occurred inside of a diagonal grid because
cool.
it's not perfectly lined up with left right with the isometric positioning, but Zach was able to figure that out.
Yeah, Zach is fantastic with this stuff. He's helped me a bunch when I'm like struggling with math or any kind of with the scroll trigger on the front end horse homepage. He helped me out with that too. So definitely big shout outs to Zach. These are just all so cool, Tom. Really, really love these. So yeah, all these examples on the GreenSock homepage. Tom Miller right here. So Tom, thank you so much for doing this with us. Really loved going through this with you. I learned a bunch. If you want to see more of Tom's work, I'm dropping creativeocean.com in the chat once again. We're trying to talk Tom back on Twitter. He's not on Twitter, but we're trying to, be like, hey, it's not so bad. Not everyone's horrible on there. So, maybe drop Tom an email and say, it'd be really cool if you're on Twitter to show us all the new stuff that you're making, because Tom makes some really, really fantastic stuff. But definitely follow him on CodePen also. Yeah.
I was going to say CodePen is where I am active, and I love spending time on there. There's so much great talent there.
Tom puts all of his hot takes on CodePen. Actually, it's weird. Usually people have a Twitter for that, but all of his like hot takes, they're all in some kind of a CodePen. So I don't know. Go figure.
Can you tell I have no idea what a hot take is?
Yeah. So hot take is like,
I've been off Twitter for
I think that chicken is the worst meat or something like that. Like that'd be like a hot take where it's like, whoa, what? You think what? And then a whole firestorm happens in your tweets. So I'm just saying you do those in CodePens, and people should go check them out and respond to them. It's not true though.
Work away. Yeah.
The chat was cracking up, Tom. The chat knew exactly what it was, and they were like, hilarious. So don't even worry about it. Yeah, totally agree, Mike. Great logo. Awesome stuff from Tom. So Tom, thank you again. Is there anything else that you want to shout out? Anything you want to shout out or mention before we say goodbye? No,
I think just keep up the great work, man. I love getting your emails.
Thank you, man.
These are always so much fun to watch. So thank you very much for the opportunity.
That's super, super kind. So we have CM Griffin over there. Let's go raid them. Thank you to everyone who was here, and thank you especially to Tom. I will see you next week. Next week, we have Amit Sheen coming on to build out something really, really fun. I've got a sneak peek. Amit is just fantastic. You certainly know him from his CSS work. I think he's going to be giving us a slight twist on what you might come to expect from him. So I'm super excited for it. Definitely come back next week. Follow if you haven't already. And yeah, thanks again for spending time with us. Take care. Start this raid. And yeah, we're heading over in 9 seconds. See, because we're over here on this new thing, I don't have a good screen to go. So I'll see you soon. All right, let's head to StreamYard and hit end broadcast.